now I'm going to switch to kind of, again, if you've heard about semantic web, you may have heard some of these traditional kind of pros and cons of them. On the pro side, they use these global URIs for linking data and reusing schema, which is one of the things we kind of said you need to be able to do to get out of that local memory space. Again, they have this idea of an ontology that ensures that the schema meaning is clear, and this is actually a bigger problem than many realize. One of our ontologists, Michael Ushold, says, you cannot maintain what you do not understand, and a lot of times people can't possibly understand all the schemas in all of their data systems. It's just too much, or the meaning is ambiguous because it's just a name without any further definition. Another, pro of the traditional semantic web is that it's vendor independent. So that helps you not get locked in. But there's also, some cons that people bring up about traditional semantic web knowledge graphs. One of them is, they say, well, there's no properties on the relationships. With the advent of labeled property graphs, you can say some things about a relationship. Like, let's say you have a flight route between two airports. You can say, well, the distance on that, A has route to B, and the distance on that relationship is, 950 miles or something. In a semantic web graph, there's no properties on relationships, so this can lead to more complex models. You have to create an intermediate object called a route and point at the two ends and put a distance on that. So that's been a con traditionally that people have brought up, and people have moved, sometimes feel that other labeled property graphs could be easier because they allow that kind of modeling. Another knock has been, well, you can't do graph algorithms. Most semantic web knowledge graphs are great for queries, but they don't actually do true graph algorithms like shortest path or page rank, things like that. So now we get to the myth busting part of the webinar. We're going to tell you and then we're going to show you. But this is the tell part. The myth was that, okay, unfortunately now because of these pros and cons, I have to pick. The myth is you have to pick either an RDF graph or a labeled property graph. If you like this kind of more global data harmonization and integration and some of the analytics, in terms of averages or statistics or things like that, computations, RDF is good for that. But the labeled property graphs are good for things like graph algorithms, and edge properties. And you got to kind of sit there and pick which one is going to work because they have not been interoperable to date. But this myth is now being busted in the last, I'd say, maybe a year or so. There's something out there now called RDF Star, and it's got a query language called Sparkle Star, but it is a extension of RDF that allows properties on the relationships. So that's one of the key things we were kind of missing in semantic graphs. I will show you some of that later. And the other one is that you don't get graph algorithms. And we're showing AngioGraph DB, and it provides graph algorithms, and I'm sure other vendors will be coming out with this soon, but the idea of a page rank and weighted shortest path, some of these things that were traditionally not in a typical RDF triple store, vendors like Cambridge Semantics are now putting these in. So now it's kind of not an either or. I can get all the benefits of a semantic graph with global IDs, an ontological schema, and I can also get properties on the edges, and I can also get page rank and other type of graph algorithms.